Here we go again. Decentering whiteness from the workplace. Okay, the math is never mathing with whoever writes these articles. It is disingenuous to suggest that an unequal outcome proves a bias or a discrimination. This article basically talks about how whiteness in the workplace is prioritized or the default choice to the detriment of other skin colors. First of all, most people in America are white for now. So just drawing the conclusion because most people are white means that they're biased towards others is not true. Secondly, this article cites studies where there's not a real evidence, it's just a feeling. For example, it suggests that people of color feel that they have to work harder than their white counterparts. Oh, they feel that! That seems like evidence. I'm also sure that there's no bias considering that every mainstream media outlet, including Forbes, and every mainstream talking head suggests that there's a chip on their shoulder just for existing. If you tell a person that everyone is out to get them, they're more inclined to believe that even when there is no such thing occurring. It also talks about job applications being rejected for people that have names that don't sound as white, while likely not taking into consideration the remainder of the information on those job applications. Is it just the name? Are they exactly the same? You don't even know. What about the people that are deciding who to hire, deciding whose application to call back? Is every single one of those people white? If more men go into the STEM fields and then you end up hiring more men for STEM field positions, that doesn't mean that there's a bias towards women. That's like saying if more OBGYNs or more psychologists were female, that you're biased towards male. These totally fake studies citing garbage information and garbage data are purely meant to inflame and give confirmation bias to people who feel that they have a victimhood status just because they exist. There's bias in everything, and to believe that there's some outsized bias in 2023 because of the data cited in some article like this is insane. Here's a hot take they don't want you to think about. Who's the only type of person, the only type of employee that can't sue you for discrimination? Hint, a white heterosexual man. Absolutely nobody is going to believe that that person was discriminated against. So the potential legal liability of hiring anybody other than a white man is objectively higher, especially when there's articles like this and people believing these things to be factual. People really need to understand free market capitalism. If you are the highest qualified person for a job, thus you would create the most value for a company. If a company discriminates against you based on the color of your skin or your name on the job application, that company forfeits your talent to the competition. So if company A is out here discriminating against women or men of color or whatever because they have some type of bias against them, and then their competitors are scooping up this talent, which is better than the white male talent supposedly that they're hiring, they will lose as a result, and the free market will settle out that bias on its own. That person will quickly demonstrate their outsized value to the company that scooped them up ahead of their competitor. That person's resume and stock in the marketplace will be increased by default. They will be more and more valuable to that company, objectively. And if for whatever reason that company that had a bias against you decides that they need to hire talent as good as you, well then they have to compete with the company that chose to hire you. And then you could either decide not to, or they could pay you more money, a fair market rate. People don't like to hear it because it doesn't give them the immediate satisfaction, but the free market and free market capitalism is the ultimate equalizer. Your value in the marketplace is dependent on what you're able to output. Not your name, not the color of your skin, not your gender, none of that. None of that stuff matters. Your only value is how efficient and how quality you're able to output in the marketplace. How much value you're able to create for your potential employer.